What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Comically Boston. Woo! Today's episode 99. We will be talking about Ahsoka episode 7, Dreams and Madness. But one piece of news real quick before we get into it. WGA, the Writers Guild of America, or whatever the A stands for, the writers are officially off strike. 148 days. Their strike has been resolved, concluded. They've reached an agreement of some sorts. I believe it's a 3-year tentative agreement. So, we're going to be back soon, right? And unfortunately, the SAG strike is no longer, the SAG strike is still going on. So the WGA said we will strike with them in solidarity as they had struck with us in solidarity. So the WGA is over, the SAG is still going on. Maybe that because this one's over, the SAG one will end soon. Let's hope. And maybe we can get back to having Fallon and Kimmel and seeing all our favorite movie stars in interviews and seeing them do press and premieres and all types of stuff that they should have been doing. Like poor Blue Beetle got the worst rap. They didn't get to do press or promo or anything. So I would really like to see movies back and able to promote the way they should. See little sneak previews of stuff, you know what I mean? Like, that goes a long way. People see the poster for a movie and they're like, maybe, and then they see a sneak peek, or they see the actor talking about it on a show and they're like, oh, now I want to go see it. Yeah, and then they go and see it, or they wait for it to come out and they see it, but they end up seeing it because they've seen the actors talking and they end up liking the actors. So they're like, oh, let me go. At least that's how it is for me. I don't know about you guys. But enough of that. I stand with the strike people. I hope they get the money they deserve and we can get back to watching things and writing things and making great stories and telling great stories, because that's all it's about, right? But let's get into Ahsoka episode 7, Dreams and Madness. This episode, Dreams and Madness, I'm not sure where that title comes from. Comment below if you know where Dreams and Madness comes in this episode. I didn't see anyone dreaming, and I didn't really see any madness per se, but who knows? Maybe that's supposed to be there and I missed it somehow, but who knows? We'll see. We start out with Hera on trial on Coruscant with Mon Mothma and a couple other senators, and it's not going well. She's going to get stripped of her rank and thrown in jail pretty much for disobeying orders. And she's like, no, I didn't disobey orders. I didn't listen to you. And talking to that one dude in the green robe, he's a prick. He was being an asshole the whole time. And he's like, there's no proof of Thrawn in this rebellion or the Imperial remnant coming back. And Carson Teva stands up, chimes in about what happened on Mandalore, talking about Moff Gideon's mentioned. And so that pretty much places this end of the Ahsoka season after the events of Mandalorian season 3 or 4, whatever season that was, after whatever happened with Moff Gideon and them on Mandalore. So maybe in the final episode we see Mando. Comment below. Do you think Mando will come in the final episode? I think it's a possibility. But we see C-3PO. We hear him at first, and then all of a sudden he's like, what is your name? I don't need to say my name. I am C. And then Mon Mothma goes, 3PO? And he's like, yes, ma'am. Comes up and starts speaking. Gets called a mere droid. And he's like, mere droid. Chopper almost stands up like, hey, motherfucker, you want to go? And Carson's like, whoa, Chop, calm down. You don't want to mess with Chopper. He'll kill people for real. But C-3PO delivers a message from Senator Leia Organa, and it was sassy, and it was powerful, and it was everything that Leia was. So Carrie Fisher would be proud being represented by Mr. C-3PO. Love to see that. Love to get a mention of Leia. Put that bastard in his place. Hera gets out of trouble. Love to see Hera, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, back. Although she did look in pain, but it might just be the green contacts. Her eyes were so open, they weren't relaxed at all. They were wide open. C-3PO saves the day on behalf of Leia, and then we cut to Ahsoka training on her ship, and she's training with a hologram of Anakin. So Mr. Hayden Christensen back again with doing some lines for Miss Ahsoka here, and I believe this is the same hologram training that Ahsoka was doing in Rebels and maybe Clone Wars. Definitely Rebels, I think. We hear Anakin talking, and he says, "In this war you will face more than just droids. General Grievous, Asajj Ventress, even Count Dooku you could encounter on the battlefield." And I thought that was very interesting. The first time in live action we've heard Asajj Ventress' name mentioned. I don't know if she's dead. I don't know where she is right now in the Star Wars story. I would love to see this character back in live action. She was just a great character in Clone Wars. I don't know if she's in Rebels, but she was a fantastic character in Clone Wars. Double wielding red lightsabers, just bald head, badass bitch. But she's like a Night Sister, honorary Night Sister, or like a full-on Night Sister now. But either way, she's force wielding. She's a beast. But love to see Ahsoka getting her training in with Mr. Anakin Skywalker. And she's like, he was a good master. And then shortly right after this, Thrawn's like, Anakin Skywalker's here, master. But we'll get to that in a second. Because she does this training, and then Hu Yang's like, the whales seem to be slowing down. I think we're nearing our end of hyperspace travel. And she's like, oh, okay. They go to the driver's seat, and you see from inside the whale's mouth, through like his little brush teeth or whatever, you see just explosions, poop, and so we're like, oh no, are we about to see a bunch of whales get slaughtered? Thankfully, it's just mines, and still not good. Watching those whales kind of dive uncomfortably around and near explosions into other explosions in this minefield that Thrawn had set up as a strategic, military move. Very, very good move by Thrawn, but we're on the good guys' side, so we're like, no, not the whales! So the poor whales dip out of there. They bounce real quick. And it's funny because Hu Yang's like, oh, the whales are giving us cover. And then they bounce, and she's like, you had to say it, and then now they're chasing after her. They hide in the, graveyard underneath like a rib cage bone of a Purgle. That she hides in the field, and pretty nice little air battle. You see, the best part about it is all of a sudden we're like in the cockpit of one of the enemy ships, and we're following Ahsoka, and then all of a sudden this guy, she flies through like a tight window with a cloud, and all of a sudden he flies right into a bone, explodes. Didn't see that coming. It's a good little battle, fun little battle, but what I think this episode is missing the most of is dialogue, like real important dialogue. Like this was supposed to be the episode for important dialogue, and this next episode is supposed to be where we want all the action. But maybe, who knows, maybe next episode will be split important dialogue and important action. It will be like a 50-50 split. I don't think that will be bad, but if they give us all the important dialogue next episode and there's not enough action, maybe that episode will be lesser for it. I don't know. We'll see. I'm still excited for episode 8, but the finale's gotta be a banger. Maybe even Ahsoka and them get left on this planet and Thrawn goes back and that's the end, and then that's like the start of season 2. They have to get back to stop Thrawn, and who knows, but we'll get to it. But Thrawn starts playing mind games. Ahsoka lands, and Thrawn's like, Anakin Skywalker's her master. Very interesting. If she's anything like her master, she'll be unpredictable and quite dangerous. Like just his line delivery and on certain shit, you're like, ooh, he sounds so diabolical, but he's also so right. If there was anything Anakin Skywalker was before Vader, as Vader, is unpredictable and quite dangerous, which is so true. We cut to Sabine with Ezra and the Noti, and Ahsoka reaches out with the Force to Sabine, and she's like, Sabine, just kind of leans back. The noise of it, she leans back, you hear like this boom, almost like she's using all of her Ahsoka the White Gandalf powers to get a message or to see where Sabine is. And Sabine's like talking to Ezra, and all of a sudden just Ahsoka? You know, she, like, Sabine's not really sure what's happening, but Ahsoka knows what's happening. She finds out where she is, so she locates her with the Force, and she takes off again as Thrawn finds Ahsoka where she is hiding with the Night Sister magic. You now have your location and coordinates, Captain Enoch. Open fire. You know, starts opening fire on where she is, so she takes off again, starts getting chased again by fighters. And I thought that whole side of it, where Ahsoka's getting chased by fighters and they're fighting on the ground and then they meet in the middle, literally, or Ahsoka meets them on the battlefield. I thought that whole side of this episode was pretty great action, pretty flawless storytelling-wise. You know, I just thought there should have been a lot more dialogue with Sabine and Ezra at least. Right? So Thrawn told Baylan and Shin to hunt down Ezra and Sabine. Baylan goes, my path is in a different way. Your path, go with Thrawn. Lead the Empire's new empire. You know, like, pretty much tells her, hey, you're too much focused on having power and being with Thrawn and building this new empire, where he's focused on something completely different, which is maybe Bendu, maybe whatever other power is on this planet. I thought that should have been this episode. We should have got Baylan. What is his character sensing? What is he feeling? What is, you know, giving us some type of hint towards that. But maybe that will be a big payoff in the next episode, who knows. But gives Shin a bit of parting advice. Impatience for victory will always end in defeat, right? And that's pretty solid advice for a master to an apprentice. So Shin goes after Sabine and Ezra in those little rock tumbler things, speeders, but, like, you know, they're like also their homes. Pretty good like world building for, like, these Noti characters, because they're rocks, their homes are rocks, but also that's how they get around and travel with these little rocks. But then they have, like, they're a peaceful people, and they fight with, you know, little slingshots, and they throw, like, spare parts and materials at their opponents. They don't have guns, they don't have spears or anything like that. They're a peaceful people. One of their little pods gets, you know, the engine blown out and crash lands and is kind of stuck, but then they can kind of armor up these pods and, like, close themselves in so that they can't really get in after them. And Ezra goes, we can't leave them. Circle up. Noti, circle. You know, and then they circle back for their boy. They all end up in this circle. And then Sabine and Ezra take on everybody. They get surrounded by these red troops, Thrawn's troops. They get surrounded by Shin. And Ezra's like, whoa. Why don't we just, you know, why don't we calm down for a second? Why don't we talk? Why don't you take us as prisoners? And she's like, shoot them. And before, like, Shin walks up, Sabine's like, here, do your thing. And Ezra's like, what thing? What are you talking about? What thing? It's your lightsaber. Take it. No, I gave it to you. It's your lightsaber. He's like, I don't need it. Besides, you've been training. And she's like, what are you going to use? At least take a blaster. And he goes, nah, I'm good. The Force is my ally. That's all I need. Which is, like, a very Jedi thing to do. Like, he literally has the option to take a blaster or a lightsaber and just takes neither. Granted, a couple seconds later, he is stealing a blaster from troops and shooting them with their blaster. But, I mean, that's just good fighting, really. That's not like, you know, he didn't keep the blaster, I don't think. But, you know, he was also somebody that used his lightsaber as a blaster in Rebels, you know. So, Ezra's not, you know, against blasters, but he's got the Force as an ally. The Force is with him. I thought Aman Esfandi's Ezra Force wielding, his characterization of this character is so great. You know, just his facial expressions. You know, obviously he's a little bit older, and the same criticism. People are like, why is he making so much jokes? Why didn't he take his lightsaber back? All of those people are dum-dums, and they clearly haven't watched Rebels or anything like that, because they're missing huge, big details. You know what I mean? Like, they're just, like, expecting that they know what's going on. They don't. They don't have a clue what's going on. And that is perfect characterization of Ezra, because he did give the lightsaber to Sabine, and he wouldn't have given it to her if he wanted it back. You know, he gave it to her to do her thing. Although he was pretty surprised. She goes, yeah, I'm Ahsoka's a Padawan. And he's like, really? What? Why? I mean, sure, yeah, you did some training with me back in the day. Why not? You know, like, how's it been going? Where's Ahsoka? can't talk about it, right? So like every time that she tried to talk to Ezra and Ezra tried to talk to her, that was great moment for dialogue to be like, express some emotion, right? More than what we got in the last episode, right? Like they hugged, but like she should have cried, Ezra, I missed you, blah blah blah, whatever. Like whatever emotion she should have been having over the last 9 years missing Ezra, all of those should have come out by now. Like, where have you been? What have you been up to? What have you done here? Like we should have got all that. Like it could have been quick, but it could have been more than what we got, you know? Like, because I thought this was a fairly quick episode. I would think it was like 40 something minutes. Like I think we had enough time to give us a little bit more dialogue. Give us two things mainly. More dialogue between Ezra and Sabine, explaining what's the story is, why Sabine's here, why Ezra's where he is, you know, and then Baylan's character. We should have got more with Baylan in whatever force thing he heard on this planet. We can feel it on this planet. Power that's bigger than Thrawn, bigger than the Night Sisters, you know, like I want to know what that is, and I think it might be Bendu, but who knows, it could be other things. We'll talk about that more on Monday's Comically Boston. Stay tuned for that. A comment below if you know what we're going to be talking about. Ahsoka, meanwhile, Ezra and Sabine are getting circled up. Ahsoka does round 2 with Baylan, and Baylan stops her, grabs her fist, you can't beat me, and she sees Huyang flying in above the battle that she's having on the ground, and she's like, perhaps I don't have to beat you. And you know, Huyang shoots the ground, she hops on Baylan's howler and takes off for Sabine, right? So she's learned, last time we fought separately, I need to be with Sabine, I can't lose her again, and hopefully they stick together in the finale this time. They don't get separated again, because you see Huyang flying around, good, all back together again, you know, hopefully I don't die and I can see it, you know. like David Tennant as Huyang's always hilarious. Ezra will fight with the Force, and I love this one part. Shin swings the saber as fast as she possibly can. Ezra ducks, but it takes a little bit of hair, takes a little bit off the top, and he's like, close, you know, like he looks at her like, yeah, good job. He also gets this Force, you know, uses the Force against her blade. I like how the blade kind of warps from him doing that. That's a good little detail. Poor Shin, though. Shin looked frightened this whole episode. And then, of course, you know, they're fully surrounded, right? As they've been fighting, they've been doing the thing. They get fully surrounded. And, of course, now Ahsoka. Force pushes some guys, hops off, does this funny little face. She's like, Amon Esfandi in the background's like, you know, oh my god, who is this? Oh my god, it's Ahsoka, you know, like, and they have their little fight. Ahsoka even fights Shin without even taking the lightsaber out, and then like kind of stops her and goes, I can help you, right? So Ahsoka, why is she, the same girl that's been trying to kill your girl, stabbed Sabine, and now you're gonna say I can help you? And poor Shin looked terrified, right? Like she was sitting there like, I don't know, do I trust her? Like, she contemplated it for a moment. Do I trust her? Do I go with her? Do I take her hand? And then she just runs away, like a little scared little girl who hops on her howler and rides away. And Sabine almost tries to go after her, and Ahsoka stops them both, which is good, you know. We can't have her just end in the story right now, you know. We do love Shin. Shin's been great the whole show. But then we finally get this long-awaited return of Ahsoka and Ezra together, right? Because Ezra saved Ahsoka from the world between worlds in Rebels, right? Literally was going to die at the hands of Vader, which is her master, Mr. Anakin, and pulls her out. And then he goes, oh, I can save Kanan, and he learns a valuable lesson. If he saves Kanan, then the rest of them die. And there's the moment that they're having right now where he saves Ahsoka. Can't happen because, you know, and Ahsoka knows this as well, because she jumps back into the portal that she came from, and you actually see that in that episode. She's like walking into the temple, like kind of limping, kind of like, oh, I've been beaten, but I'm not dead yet. I don't know. It's interesting, but it's also like good storytelling. It was cool to see Ezra and her back together hugging. Like, that was good emotion. She's like, so Ahsoka, I thought you were dead. And she's like, and miss this reunion, and gives him a big hug, and that little laugh she gives is like so Rosario Dawson and so like just humble and cute. Little Easter egg detail that I saw. The troops, the backup troops carriers that they flew in on were the same carriers as the ones from the Jedi games, Cal Kestis video games, the Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor games. You know, how troops show up randomly in that game. They fly up in on those ships. So I thought that was a little interesting. You know, a little Easter egg there. But Thrawn isn't upset, right? Like he goes, where is Lord Balin? Balin Skoll wasn't here at this battle, so our defeat and loss in this matter is acceptable. We're all sitting there like, what? Why is this acceptable? Even Morgan Elsbeth's like, all I see is our enemies back together. He goes, I'll show you what I see. And he brings up his chimera, and his cargo is about 89-90% loaded. So next episode, he'll have to load 10% of his cargo in the time that Ahsoka, Ezra, and Sabine get together, try and get on that ship to try and get back to where they're going, because the Purrgil pieced on them. So I don't know if the Purrgil will necessarily be back. So I don't know. Are they going to get off this planet? I think we might be stuck on Peridea. Even Thrawn and them will be stuck on Peridea too. But I have questions. But mainly questions after this is the same question that Ezra brings up at the end. He goes, Huyang lands the ship, and you know, Ezra's holding little Noti, baby Noti's hand, and he goes, these are all of my friends. And then he's like, guys, I'm getting a feeling. The feeling I'm like I'm going home after all, right? He's been stuck on this planet, right? That might be jinxing it, right? Maybe he won't go home. Maybe Ezra dies right here. Who knows? This is Ahsoka's show, so we know Ahsoka probably won't die, but the rest of them might. But the main questions coming out of this episode 7, Dreams and Madness. What does that title refer to? Balin Skoll, why did he separate himself from Shin? Shin runs away. Is she running back to Thrawn, or is she running back to Balin? Balin heard and felt something on this planet. What is that? Is that Bendu? We'll talk about that more Monday. That will be my main discussion topic on Monday, so have your thoughts ready for that. Thrawn is loading up this cargo. Is that cargo dead troops? What is this cargo? Are the troops that we saw dead troops? I don't know. Are those samurai red troops dead troops? What are they? Are those native to this planet? Are those Thrawn troops? What is the deal with them? Will Zeb and Hera and maybe even Kanan show up in this final episode? Who knows? Will Hera end up on this planet somehow? Who knows? You know, we really don't know. Did you like this episode? Did you not like this episode? Comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the matter. You can @ me on Twitter. We can talk about it there on as well. But overall, I do like this episode. I do like Thrawn's little chess mind games that he's playing with Ahsoka. Overall, though, I do think this episode should have had more Balin, because he's been my favorite character, I think, overall in the show. And it should have had more dialogue between Ezra and Sabine. But comment below, do you think my assessment is correct on that matter? Do you think I'm dead wrong? Comment below what you think of this Ahsoka show. What did you think of episode 7? If you want to check out my movie reviews, more coming to the channel real soon. We got Spider-Man Homecoming, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Rise of Skywalker, completing my Star Wars movie rewatch. Now we're going back. We're watching Obi-Wan again, Andor again, so that's going to be fun. Heading into this final week of Ahsoka. And then Tuesday, the finale of Ahsoka comes out. And then Thursday, the premiere of Loki comes out. So we're going to get a big week next week. So stay tuned for that, y'all. I'm so excited, and I can't wait to talk about it more with you guys. Comment below your thoughts. @ me on Twitter. Follow me on my other social medias. Subscribe if you're new. Hit that bell if you don't want to miss any future videos. And I'll see you when I see you guys. Peace.